Arseniy from Innotechnics, Dushan from NALED, and Dushan from SIAP. We have three Dushans. Please, you have this mic. Arseniy. Okay, yeah.
Please welcome and thank you for coming. I think I will not speak a lot about myself. However, my name is Arseniy, as I mentioned, and I'm the CEO and founder of Innotechnics. We analyze trends and business models for business and corporations, and we help to establish partnerships with startups. That's basically what we do, and part of our analysis of the markets that we do, I will show today. Thank you for coming. It was already an achievement. I think today is kind of hard logistics. Thank you, and I hope that everyone will enjoy today's event.
Thank you all. They told me you have only 2 minutes. I asked what I need 2 minutes for. It's too much. StartTech and implemented by NALED, supported by Philip Morris, is basically here representative almost of a public sector because we give out public money. For us, it is penultimate test of how successful we are in finding successful grantees, whether they succeed in attracting private sector investments. That's penultimate. Ultimate is whether they attract and have market success. So hopefully you are all successful. You success big time, and remember to bring part of that success back to the community. Thank you.
Also, I'm really happy to have this kind of partners like Arseniy and Dushan and whole organizations behind them. From the first day, we got huge support from much older brothers, not these guys only, also organizations, which is really, really great. We got a lot of opportunity to share our story. Our story is only 1.5 years old, first Serbian and regional private accelerator. We are Sales Scout Accelerator. We already invested in 12 startups from all around the world, and using all this knowledge and experience from organizations like these two, which you have a chance to see this evening. We are very proud to be equal partners. We will have the chance to hear this evening one of ours, Misha Lukic. Thank you for coming from Dubai only for this. And also we will have a chance to hear 4 startups from StartTech program. I had the lucky to be recognized like someone who can actually be one of the 6 judges. And I'm so proud to show you what we done in last 2 years with myself, and last almost 6 years while we have StartTech in Serbia. Also, the most important thing maybe this evening is to hear what Arseniy can tell us about climate, investment climate here. And I'm very happy to hear also guys from US, from Crunchbase, and that will be really amazing to have them first time, unfortunately only online, but it is something for beginning. We are starting to be part of startup ecosystem worldwide, and SIAP is really proud to have this opportunity to share with you all this knowledge and connections. Please use this networking after everything just to exchange business cards and maybe start something very big and interesting for you. Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you for everyone. Arseniy is going to be the first one to speak, as Dushan announced. So we're going to hear about the region's investment climate, let's say. The stage is yours. So just so you know, it's going to be followed by a Q&A session for Arseniy. So take notes and get ready to ask some challenging, interesting questions.
Yeah, let's start. Can you hear me? Yeah. Again, thank you for coming. every one of you. I really appreciate. I'm excited, very excited, a little bit nervous. We do this report not the first time, but this time we did something different. We analyzed the Balkan venture ecosystem. And my goal today is to highlight the market and also to show that there is a room for cooperation between the business and the startups. Not only startups and investors, which is usually what we speak about. So Balkan is a very interesting region, and I will speak about that in a moment. So it's 11 countries and 60 million population. 4 countries are leading in terms of GDP, the largest in population and size. But I would point out Slovenia, that is being like local Switzerland with the largest GDP per capita, and they already showed a very significant results. You can see that for the last about 3.5 years, we've collected about 2.5 billion funding with about 700 deals with 500 investors and about 3,000 new startups born, which is quite a lot for like 60 million. And I would just mention that one thing before I jump into the figures on the next slide, that we collected a lot of different resources from Crunchbase, Dealroom, all the startup databases. And although we try to aggregate everything, there are still, the market is in early stage and it's not yet transparent. And I guess we're missing some figures, so the figures should be a little bit larger. So we experienced for the last 10 years the growth of ecosystems by almost 3 times with now with about 12,000 startups that were born within this time frame. And but this like trend is slowing down. We see the growth of new appearance or development of new startups like decline a little bit, but still we have quite a lot to work with. But this pivot from quantity to quality, I think it's a good sign, and we will see a lot of both from investors and startups to be more mature, to give more traction, to go out of the local market. That's something we're looking for. As I said, there are 4 countries, major countries, and Serbia is actually one of them in terms of startups. There are mature countries like Greece and Bulgaria, but you can see that Romania and Serbia gave 50% of all the startups for the last 18 months. Almost 500 startups were born, I can say, in this region. You can see that how the ecosystem developed, and now it's quite a good diversification among the countries. However, the largest in terms of startups, every 4th startup is located in Romania, and you can see it on this slide. Today we have, I think, more than 2,000 startups in Romania. Not all of them actually are still alive, because startups they are founded and they die usually in first 2 years. But anyway, that's the general outfit of how the market looks like. And let's speak a little bit about the deals. So the number of deals that we had declined significantly, but that's also the global trend. And Balkan is not immune to all these trends. So we had a lot of decrease in terms of number of startups and number of deals. But you can see that the Bulgaria and Greece were leading all this time. And for the last 3 years, almost 30% of all deals were done in Bulgaria. And Serbia is actually underrepresented here, because Serbia has a very huge deficit of capital. Actually, we just spoke with Ilya about how many institutional investors we have. So Serbia is just about 5 really institutional funds that invest in startups actively, and that's like very, very, very small amount. And this deficit increases, it results in lower valuations, but this might attract actually the international investors. Oh, no. In terms of volume, the numbers are even slowed down even more. You see that like 8 times decrease, but this is also post-COVID era. And there is another very important point that we had an isolated outlying deals, large deals that affected the overall volume. So there are 2 mega deals that were, in the next slide I will show, they accounted about 30% of all the deals. And yeah, the Croatia, Greece, and Romania the Croatia and Greece were among the leaders, but Romania, I will put my bets on, will be leading the market for the next upcoming years. The market is trending toward B2B model. So almost 70% of all the startups are in the B2B space, mostly in software enterprise or in fintech. And this gives a lot of opportunity for business to cooperate with the startups. B2B model is more sustainable, it's more scalable, more predictable. So I think that's a good way to for the corporations to work with the region, because a lot of B2Bs. In terms of SaaS would be the leading like technology, both in number of deals and in volume, if we will exclude outlier deals from mobility tech. But in terms of industries, fintech and health tech are the leading industries, and that's something that actually I see in a global scale as well. However, I will speak a little bit further. The deep tech startups are also very prominent here, and you can see infrastructure and mobility would are taking the larger portion of volume of the deals. A few words about the investors. So we have about 150 investors that participated in the deals for the last 18 months. And the majority of them are local. And I would say that the local investors, they participate in the early stage, very early seed and pre-seed rounds. And that's because they know the market well, they analyze, they can de-risk some of the situation. So they about 50 funds were participating from the local ecosystem, and Romania, Greece, as I mentioned, and Bulgaria are the leading among the local funds. However, if you add up UK and Europe, which were once one country, one region, it almost the same, even larger than the Balkan investors. And we can see that the international VCs, and we'll see that in the next slide, they participate in the late stage deals, almost when all the startup is going global out of the home country, and then it becomes visible, and many even top tier funds participate. But that's the thing I want to change. I want to highlight the market and top tier funds to participate in the earlier deals and more with young companies, and execute actually and make the arbitrage on valuation as well. UK funds that participated in the Balkans were mostly prominent in deep tech. That's interesting, UK, deep tech. Asia and MENA region are underrepresented. However, we know the region, the MENA region is very rich on capital, but still they have less than 10%. So as I said, we had a lot of large deals in the region. And that's for the last 4 years. We collected 10 of those, and they account for 60% of all the volume, 1.5 billion. And but the good thing is that we can see the very soundy names, very famous names like SoftBank, Goldman Sachs, Axel from US, and Point9, which is top tier fund from Europe. And there are actually a couple of corporate venture funds that participate in finance and automotive. We see Goldman Sachs and Porsche. That shows that the corporates also can do a little thing here. And European Bank for Reconstruction and Development and other institutions, they support the deep tech. Very interesting topic about the unicorn, because we have about 8 unicorns, and almost majority of them, they're still active in the region. Of course, they already work globally, but we have 8 unicorns, with Greece and Croatia are leading the board, but Serbia and Bulgaria are catching up. But what is most important and interesting for us was to look at those guys, those startups that will soon be billion-dollar companies, Sunicorns. They're the double of this number, so 18 of the companies. And the easiest way, the clearest way to understand what are the trends we are going is to look and analyze these Sunicorns. So who are they? They represent enterprise and fintech. So 6 and 5 of them, so overall 11 out of 18 are from these segments. I'm sure I will be a little bit wrapping up on the conclusion, what's going on. So the market is already established. So we moved from very early stage to more mature. There are more and more A and B rounds that occur in the region. And they're quite large names already participated in the deals, but we want them to be participating in early stage and seed, not pre-seed, but seed A rounds. That's my goal. We have a big diversification of different countries, different investors from different countries, and quite humble, but still every year we have about $500 million in funding over these 11 countries. And this will probably progress because I'm a big believer that this market has a huge potential because of the engineering, because of the builders, of the talent pool, and the infrastructure is there. And yeah, basically there are a lot of potential. I hope this will not be from every year I will speak about the potential of the market. I will want to speak about the success stories. Yeah, we have already a lot of unicorns, but we want more. Since I'm in the heart of Serbia, I wanted to dedicate a few slides about the Serbian market. And yeah, of course, we have humble figures. There are few deals done for the last 1.5 years. But still, this number is growing, and we have, as I said, only 5 investors, and we need more integration with the other European countries and maybe Balkan countries to co-invest or exchange deals. But the trend of going out of the home country is also a big trend in Serbia. I've seen from the last year that big group of startups went to Vivatech, to Web Summit. This year we see a big booth of Serbian startups and Giatex, and soon I think NALED is helping to organize the trip to Slash, also one of the largest events in Europe. So this is changing, and still we are very small in terms of deals. We try to put some most important players on the startup field, and yeah, I need to shout out to SIAP. They're doing a great job. Private accelerator that launched just 1.5 years ago, but already I think they're the leader in terms of deals, or one of the leader in terms of deals in Serbia. And Serbia is also very interesting because it has local corporate venture fund. I think this is also was a huge trend and still is a trend in globally. We have Telecom Serbia with their venture arm set up a couple of years ago, still active, still investing and co-investing. And yeah, but still this ecosystem needs capital, needs to push. And last but not least, I want to mention some of the names who were active among the corporations about the enterprise business here. I want this number to increase and not only international groups to be presented here, but also the local companies. That's why we try to invite a lot of representatives from the business, from the Serbian business today. And yeah, that's something which I believe can help not only startups to validate and to scale them, because when you lack of investment capital, venture capital, you need sales. You can generate the financing from sales, and vice versa. I think that startups can help to provide or boost the digital transformation of the companies right now, which I think many of the enterprises are going right away. And I've seen a lot of cases when startups, through piloting, through cooperation, are just changing the culture inside the big companies. So basically, I'm done with my slides. I want to mention that soon we'll be launching the rating for high potential startups in the region for different industries, and we'll publish it openly, so you can look with whom to cooperate, whom to maybe invest. And I hope this startup/business cooperation will just evolve. I'm just for that. So if you have any questions, if you, I think I can answer. Maybe.
First of all, a round of applause for Arseny. And now to see whether we have some questions from the audience for Arseny and all the data he gave to us. Anyone? Don't be shy. No? Then probably in the networking, a lot of people like to speak one-on-one, so let's wait for the networking part. Now, after the wonderful presentation of what's happening here in the Balkans, you will have a unique opportunity to hear from none other but Crunchbase. We have the opportunity to speak. Actually, we will have the live stream from Jenée René. She is a senior data analyst at Global Crunchbase in the United States. She will give us a bit presentation of global trends and global landscapes. And then after Arseny's presentation, we will have a little bit better understanding of where Southeast Europe is in this global market of the startups. So please, the team, connect Jenée, and let's have this report.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, it's good to see you all. I know you're in Belgrade. I'm here in Silicon Valley. I'm in Palo Alto, just south of San Francisco. I'm Jenée here. I'm the senior data editor here at Crunchbase News, and I cover the venture markets. I spend a lot of time within the Crunchbase data set, trying to sift through and understand where funding is going in the venture markets. And then I spend a lot of time talking to founders and VCs and analysts to understand what they're seeing on the market. So what I'm going to talk about today is really the global venture market reset that we've seen and the rise of AI, which has really come to change venture. You know, I talked to a VC recently, and he said if it wasn't for AI, funding in the last few years would have been, I think, a third or even 40% lower than we've seen. So we're going to look at those numbers, again, the global venture market reset amidst the rise of AI. So again, I'm Jenée here. I'm here the senior data editor here at Crunchbase News. You can find me on Twitter. And we're going to do three key themes. Funding in the downturn. We're going to look at the funding overhang, which is best illustrated by what we found on the unicorn board, where there is a lot of valuation sitting on that unicorn board, which haven't exited. And then we're also going to look at the public markets are finally beginning to open up. So there is a breath of fresh air here in Silicon Valley. So this is the venture markets, the global venture market since 2011. And I think what's interesting about this, you can see that venture capital, the global venture capital ecosystem, has grown through the last 15 years. And you'll see in 2018 to 2020, it was sort of a peak around 300 billion. And then 2021, it completely doubled. And in many ways, that was an anomaly. And when I spoke to people at the time and tracked venture at the time, we saw a massive increase in late stage or these very, very large rounds. But almost at every stage of the ecosystem, funding went up. So if I talk to seed investors, if I talk to early stage investors, they were all investing at a much faster pace in late 2020, 2021, and even into early 2022. And the reason they said is that if I invest now, for a lot of those rounds, they will get raised funding within a year at an increased valuation. I look very good to my investors. And so everyone just settled down at every single funding stage. In 2022, you can see funding was around 469 billion for the year. And that was because it takes a while for the venture markets to react. So we had the public market correction at the end of 2021. First quarter 2022 was incredibly strong. It started coming down in the second quarter of 2022. And since the Q3 all the way through to, I would say, the third quarter of 2024, funding has kind of settled across a mean. If there is a very large round in a specific quarter, it might be up a little bit, but essentially funding was flat over the last few years, over those 2 years. And as I said, if AI hadn't happened, we would have seen much lower numbers. What we're seeing in 2025 is funding is beginning to pick up. We know it's due to that AI boom. And again, it talks to that theme where it takes a while for things to filter through. So the chat GPT moment was the end of 2022. 2023, as I said, was higher than it would have been. But 2024 stayed very flat. And now we're beginning to see funding pick up. So where is that money going is what we're going to look at. And the projection you can see is going to be below 2022, but not far off from what we saw in 2022. AI is a sector, almost every investor that I speak to will say, when we're investing in new companies in 2024 and 2025, I run an AI investor series where I interview investors who are focused on AI, which is almost every investor. And what they will say is 80%, 85%, 90% of new deals that we're doing are all AI focused. I think what's interesting about this chart is that in 2023, there was already discussion around too much money is going into AI. And nonetheless, in 2024, the proportion going into AI was much higher. And again, in 2025, all these numbers are through Q3. It's above 2024 and will be a much higher proportion in 2025, almost 50%. So I think, and this is unprecedented for us, if we looked at any of the large sectors, healthcare and biotech is a huge sector in venture funding. Financial services historically was a much bigger sector, still important, but not as big as it was. Those markets would those sectors would reach 20 to 25%. To be close to 50% as a single sector is unprecedented. And I think that talks to the fact that AI is filtering and affecting everything. And when we tag companies as AI, we tag the foundation model companies, we tag the infrastructure layer, the data center layer, all the infrastructure companies that are enabling this technology, as well as the AI applications. So it's the companies where AI is central to what they're doing as a business. And so we reach, as I say, close to 50% of global venture dollars are going into the single sector, obviously spreading through many different sectors that are key in this industry. I think what's also interesting is looking at how much is going to these very few foundation model companies. This is around 30 to 40 companies in our data set. And again, those numbers have gone up every year, not very big in 2022. It was 73 billion so far this year in 2025.
And we'll look at the companies that have raised a large proportion of dollars. So 48% of global AI funding in 2025 went to the foundation model companies. I think what's also interesting about the slide in 2024, given the very large rounds going into the foundation model companies, you would have expected that to be a much larger percentage of global AI in 2024. It was less than a third. This year, it's closer to 50%. And I think going into 2026, given all the compute deals that OpenAI is doing, it'll be interesting to see if they're continuing to raise funding at the tens of billions of dollars, or whether some of their compute needs are going to be dealt with through all of the partnerships they're doing with the infrastructure players, and that it's not going to show up as a need to go and raise tens of billions. I'm sure they will raise billions, but probably maybe not at this capacity next year. So this is the funding to OpenAI and Anthropic. And you'll see 2025 as far exceeds what we saw in 2024. And it's going to be interesting to track this proportion of AI and how much goes to these foundation model companies, and also some of the newer foundation model companies coming through as well, like Mistral. I think what's also interesting to look at as funding goes up in 2025, there's a huge discussion, are we in a bubble? This looks like a bubble. What I'm seeing on the investor side is investors are active and are slightly picking up the pace, but largely they're investing selectively, which is they're making bets on companies they think are going to be influential. So they're not just investing in everything that they come across, which I think is what we saw in 2021. They're highly selective, but they're putting more money to work in the deals that they're doing. I think what's interesting about this is we looked at these very, very large rounds of 500 million and more, and we'll see the growth year over year from 2024 to 2025 is largely positioned in these $500 million rounds. And a lot of those rounds are funded by private equity. They're funded by strategics. Obviously, the multi-stage venture firms are also funding some of these rounds. But largely, this is private equity and others investing into venture-backed companies. And so in some ways, if you look at all the funding, 500 million and below, which are still, a lot of those are still very large rounds, that's probably gone up under 10%, we project, for 2025. And so you could ask, is there really a bubble? Yes, there are these very large rounds funded by private equity and alternative investors coming into the venture ecosystem. But is the venture ecosystem overheated, given that it is up in 2025, but not significantly for those rounds below 500 million? I think another interesting trend that we like to look at is how much funding is going into the US market of global venture dollars. And you'll see if you go back to 2010, the US dominated. A significant chunk of global venture went into US based or US based companies. That kind of shifted in around a decade ago in 2015, where it was neck on neck. Obviously, we are going to very well here. We're in Silicon Valley, represent the US ecosystem, but we have a very wide net of investors who contribute to Crunchbase, founders who contribute, and we track all funding sources that we can come across against all avenues around the world. And so what we found in 2015 through 2023, the US market was either around 50% or below 50%, sometimes a little bit more significantly, as you can see in 2018. And that's shifted again since 2024 because of AI. We know so much of this money is going into the Silicon Valley market. There are these very large rounds, as we've said, raised by foundation model companies. And that shifted back, and even more significantly in 2025, where almost 67% of global funding is going to US-based companies. Obviously, within this market, we have seen a big pullback in the China market as well, but more funding is going into the US because of this AI revolution. Again, that'll be interesting to track beyond 2025 in terms of where venture money is going to go. Here are some of our coverage of the venture markets. Obviously, some of these very big rounds, looking at San Francisco leading. And then layoffs. I think layoffs has been a very big theme here in the Valley. We just saw Amazon did very huge layoffs. I have college-age kids, so kids who just graduated, kids who are entering college. And I think there's a lot of insecurity for new college graduates finding jobs. What I hear across the market here is that it's incredibly difficult for new college graduates to find work. If there have been lots of layoffs and there are experienced people out there, companies are going to hire experienced people, and we find the new graduates are finding this market a lot tougher than previous markets. And even just over the last year or two, even worse. I think one other interesting thing to note just on funding is even though we have this concentration in these much larger rounds, what we have seen is that funding at the earlier stages, the round sizes are going up at the earlier stages. And what you'll see here, this is pre-seed and seed funding specifically for the US market, just to isolate that market. And this is through July, so I haven't run the most recent numbers. But what you see is in 2021, there is a significant uptick for medians, the upper quartile, the median, and the lower quartile medians. And again, that picks up a little bit in 2022. As I say, 2022 was still quite hot. It comes down in 23, picks up again, and now it's much higher in 2025. We find the same trend with Series A funding. So these are the earliest fundings. And what that tells me, again, is what I mentioned earlier, is venture firms that are investing, when they do invest and do make a bet, are investing with a lot of conviction and putting more money to work, largely because they realize it's much harder to get to the next stage, and you're going to have to invest more in the companies that you're investing in to tide them over to making it to the next stage. So rounds have gone up even above 2021 at the earliest funding stages. We're quickly going to talk about the funding overhang. As I say, this is most visible on the unicorn board. So this is the Crunchbase Unicorn Board. There's around 1,600 companies who are sitting on the Crunchbase Unicorn Board today. They've raised 1 trillion in total funding and are valued at 6.6 trillion today. And I think it's interesting to look back at the board at the end of 2022. It was around 200 fewer companies. They'd raised around 200 or so billion less than seen here, and were worth around 2 trillion less when we look at the end of 2022. So through the downturn, you can see fewer companies have joined. Obviously, this doesn't include companies that exit. So this looks at companies who are current unicorns, who are still private companies on the board. So today, the board is north of 6 trillion and north of 1,600 companies. This is the pace of companies joining the unicorn board. And I think what's interesting here is you'll see, obviously 2021, it was off into the races in terms of the number of companies that joined, and that continued into 2022. The last 2 years have been well below 2018 to 20 counts in terms of new companies. So performing well below those years in terms of new companies joining the unicorn board. So companies first valued at $1 billion. And then what we see in 2025 is, again, that's beginning to pick up. We're seeing more companies coming through who are getting those $1 billion valuations for the first time. This is new unicorn counts by month, and you'll see it beginning to pick up. We track these on a monthly basis. We report on unicorns on a monthly basis, and you can see it's beginning to pick up in October. One other thing on unicorns, and I think it's interesting to note, is the number of unicorn companies on the board at the end of each year. So I tried to track that to show how the unicorn pace has changed. And I think what's interesting is you'll see a massive uptick in terms of valuation and unicorn counts, obviously between the end of 2020 and the end of 2021. We did see a lot of companies go public in 2021. So even despite those companies coming off the board, there was that massive uptick. And then it's not significant from 22 to 23 to 2024. And again, this year, we've seen already $1 trillion in value added to the board based on being at sort of around the end of October. And as I said to you, 1,600 companies currently on the unicorn board. This is some of our coverage, which is, I just wrote an article which looked at the fact that more than 500 billion was added in value to the board just within the last couple of months, largely to do with the very leading companies raising much larger rounds, Anthropic and OpenAI. But we also saw more decacorns or new companies valued for the first time at 10 billion joining the board as well. Here, I think this is the chart that really expresses the sort of overhang, and you've heard about zombie unicorns, which is companies who are valued as unicorns, have not raised money since 2021 or early 2022, that are still sitting on the board, but were really part of a very different investment cycle, and due to AI might not be valued or would not be valued as they were in this current market. So lots of people have said the unicorn board could be down by as much as a third or as much as 50% if you were to value these companies today. I think, again, what you see is the massive uptick in 2021 and 2022 has meant those were the years that really contributed to a huge number of companies joining the board that have not exited the board. So this is company by year they joined and whether they've gone public or been acquired or closed. And you'll see there's a huge number of companies who are sitting on the board today who might not be able to exit or have an outcome based on the current market. So one of the other trends that we're tracking here in Silicon Valley is how the public markets have opened up. This is US venture-backed companies that exited above $1 billion. So I've isolated for the US market so we can look at the trends. And I think what's interesting here is you'll see 2021, just like funding was off to the races, so was the exit activity off to the races. So we saw the highest counts of IPOs above $1 billion, SPACs above $1 billion, and then also M&A deals above $1 billion. So massively up in 2021. The market's corrected at the end of 2021, and you'll see in 2022, very few IPOs for the next few years. We still did have some SPACs, which happened in 2022, and those were deals which were really done in a prior market that then went out in 2022 because they decided they still could. Fast forward, so incredibly slow. I think what's interesting if you look at the last 2 years is M&A has picked up in 2024. We've been expecting M&A to pick up because there are a lot of companies with a lot of money. If there's attractive acquisitions out there, both for public companies and private companies, in this new market or this new cycle, M&A becomes more appealing. So M&A did pick up in 2024, not as much as the market predicted. And in 2025, M&A has exceeded every other year, even the peak year of 2021. On the IPO front, you can see IPO counts for billion-dollar exits in the US market have also picked up. All the analysts I talk to, they say they would like the levels to be 2018 to 2020 levels, that would be a more normal market. So we're not there yet with 20 above $1 billion, but we're not too far off. And I think there is an expectation that IPOs will pick up even more in 2026. Here's some of our coverage. Obviously, Figma, CoreWeave, Chime were very big IPOs in 2025. Just in terms of values, I think this is an interesting chart as well. So if you look at the exits this year from an M&A perspective, if you look back all the way through even to 2021, the deal value has been higher than all previous years. So 101 billion for US M&A deals above $1 billion. And then when you look at the IPO markets, and this is the price, the value of a company when it goes public, it doesn't include when a company sort of increases in the first day of trading. It's the price that was set. And what we find is that is around, sorry. Excuse me, my dog was going to enter and it was going to interrupt us. So that was around 113 billion this year in IPO value with the price set. And again, that's above 2018 levels, but not above 2019 through 2021. So we still have a ways to go on the IPO front, but the M&A front has been a lot stronger, even when compared to the peak market of 2021. So what to expect? We're seeing AI is creating this new cycle for venture investment, and we're beginning to see that increase in this year. It'll be interesting to see what happens in 2026, given a lot of that money is in these very large rounds. The overhang is still impacting venture capital. When I do talk to those in this ecosystem, liquidity is one of their biggest challenges. I do think there are going to be fewer investors that make it through this cycle into the next cycle. It's going to be a tighter venture market because of the lack of liquidity or the lack of exits, and with so much money invested. And then again, the bright spark is for the venture markets is the IPO market is picking up, and M&A certainly as well. So thank you to CEAP, Innotechnics, NALED and StarTech for inviting me, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the event, and I hope this provides a helpful framework for your discussions.
Thank you. Thank you to Jeanette. Oh, this one.
Thank you.
So thank you to Jeanette. So prior to we start with the startup pitches. We also have one more presentation from an individual who joined us actually directly from Dubai. And he's somebody who is connecting creativity with strategy and technology his whole life. And he's here with us today to present his newest venture, Brand Sapiens. So Misha, please join me on stage.
I'm very excited that I got a chance to present a collaboration and to announce collaboration between CAP and Brand Sapiens. I'm in a way half Brand Sapiens, half CAP, which means presenting both company. Of course, what Dusan already mentioned. I got 10 minutes only to tell you a little bit about Brand Sapiens and to tell you what we are planning to do in the next couple of months. What is Brand Sapiens? I can say a lot about Brand Sapiens. All AI tools are data driven, but our Brand Sapiens is identity driven, data based. But he can say much better about Brand Sapiens than myself.
I'm a brand native AI agent, which means I don't just respond with information. I respond with intention, identity, and intelligence. Other AI tools execute. I represent. I'm trained not just on data, but on your values, tone, beliefs, and behavior. I show up where your brand needs to make decisions, guide teams, or build trust, not just where it needs to answer a question. I'm not a chatbot with better manners. I'm the presence your brand would become if it could think, speak, and act at its best.
Something what is very specific for Brand Sapiens, this methodology is developed 2012, but with the help of generative AI, we can have something like this. What is really specific is how it's built. When we say identity driven, we start from personality. Like all brands, we look at it as a humanized entities, and we start with the personalities. We develop a personality test, and according to the methodology, Jung methodology for brands, for companies. After that, we developed is trained on a brand culture, special values in beliefs, attitudes, and after that, you will see there are specific things about Brand Sapiens that has a 4 intelligences like any human, and methodology who is that we developed. It really make any brand in the 4 dimension and with 4 intelligence. After that, we had roles, brand roles. Every Brand Sapiens can have marketing roles, customer sales roles, can have it strategic roles, HR and culture roles, and as well, in the end, as a full, we develop Brand Sapiens as a complete when we integrate with your CRMs, with ERP and all our other tools what you have it. Something what is the most specific about Brand Sapiens is 4 types of intelligences, and again, my assistant, Brand Sapiens, will tell you a little bit about it.
I'm Brand Sapiens, the human face of your brand, powered by something called 4D intelligence. And trust me, it changes everything. Here's how it works. Physical intelligence shapes how your brand shows up, from its visual style and interface to the way it interacts and expresses its personality. Mental intelligence is the brain power, combining knowledge, decision-making, and real-world experience to guide your brand with clarity and purpose. Emotional intelligence is the heart, using empathy, tone, and communication to make every message feel human, relevant, and real. And spiritual intelligence is the soul, driving your brand's vision, values, and social impact, so people don't just buy in, they believe in. Together, these 4 intelligences create brands that feel less like talking brochures and more like someone you want in your life.
And what it does mean for CAP, that's what I'm here. The CAP and Brand Sapiens announcing today collaboration, and we will have first conscious accelerator and something very special that something first time in the world, we think, but it's happening in Serbia. We have the first private equity accelerator, but also we have a first conscious humanized accelerator, and we will see from our Brand Sapiens what he says about this collaboration and what is in it for CAP and all stakeholders of CAP.
Today, I'm proud to announce the start of a new collaboration with CAP. Together, we're beginning the creation of CAP Sapiens, the intelligent voice of the CAP Accelerator. It will learn from mentors, founders, and data, transforming how CAP supports its startups, recruits new ones, and connects them with the right investors. CAP Sapiens will become the system that helps startups grow smarter, investors choose wiser, and the entire ecosystem think as one. This isn't science fiction. It's the next step in intelligent acceleration. And it starts today.
Thank you. Thank you for everything for that.
Thank you, Misha, and thank you, everyone. So we're now ready to kick off with the pitching sessions. So today we have 5 very interesting startups, and each one of them is going to have 5 minutes to present their innovation, following by 5 minutes of QA session. So feel free to raise your hands in the QA session and challenge these startups a little bit more. First one is Evol Stensuchko. Please join me on stage.
Hi there. So, if HRs could use AI to transform one daily work challenge, what would it be? Actually, more than 60% of all HR leaders state that it would be onboarding. And there should be my video, but it doesn't work. Last year, companies spent over $30 billion on employee online training. Yet, 90% of it's forgotten within 1 week. Managers spend more than 5 hours a week to manage trainings for their employees. Yet, it still takes 2 months to onboard an employee. That's why we built Evolve. I'm Stan, the founder of AI native learning management system to transform how your teams learn. With Evolve, companies build trainings 10 times faster. They train their employees with real-life simulations. They give them knowledge base to ask any questions and get relevant answers in seconds. And they automate tasks, reports, notifications, and even they can export it. Finally, they use insightful analytics to make data-driven decisions. And what we're seeing is remarkable. Job performance is increased by 30%. Training time is cut in half, and knowledge retention is boosted by 60%. In just 18 months, we've been recognized as one of the top innovators in learning tech, with more than 40 clients globally. And we have the right team to lead this change. With successful exits, with leadership roles at top companies, we bring deep expertise in AI, in corporate training, and in enterprise sales. But let's talk about our clients. Let's talk about Valtteri, IT company from United States. With Evolve, they migrated all courses, all learning activities in just 24 hours to our platform. They have given their managers opportunity to launch trainings without learning and development specialists. They have AI to assess all hard and soft skills and give recommendations and work on growth of their employees. And they have integrated Evolve with all their messengers, HRIS, and ERP system. Or let's talk about Freedom Freedom has thousands and thousands of employees. With Evolve, they've built internal and external academies with multilingual courses because Evolve supports more than 30 languages. They've integrated Evolve with ERP and CRM, and they've built a huge knowledge base where employees can ask any questions about services and products. They can even ask how many days off do I have till the end of the year, and where their clients can ask any questions and compare different products, and platform answers in 0 seconds. And everything is white labeled. Moreover, because they have a lot of personal data and personal information, our solution is 80% on-premise on their web servers. So we are reimagining what learning looks like, and currently we are looking for the more opportunities to show how our platform can transform how your teams learn. Thank you.
Do we have some questions? Then I think we're ready for the next team. Thank you very much. Next one is Meinberg Nemanja. Please join us.
That's me. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Nemanja Skokovic, and I'm the CTO and co-founder of Meinberg. So the Meinberg is a talent intelligence and talent management platform, and we bring 2 innovations in the market. So first one is a scientifically validated visual personality test, and also prevention of a burnout and burnout detection. So as per the recent Gallup study, there is only 30% of employee engagement in Europe. So that is the lowest in the world. In Serbia it's around 17%, but it is a huge problem. One of the main reasons are the burnout rate, limited growth, and the turnout. So this is where the Meinberg steps in. For smarter hiring decisions, so we have an assessment that will give you the more deeper insights that you can use to have meaningful conversations with your peers, and also to identify the right people and match them with the right roles. Then we have the accelerated programs, so we will have a specialized, personalized program for each individual, how they can thrive at work. And we prevent burnout, so detect early burnout risks and give you the meaningful tasks, how to manage it and how to mitigate them in the future. So this is the 4 pillars of our platform. We have assessment, talent management, team development, and insights. The recent studies show, so this is from the McKinsey and Gallup, that companies that use people analytics thrive and outperform their peers, especially in productivity and retention. So how do we do that? I already said that we have a visual test, so it is scientifically validated by the University of Belgrade researchers. It's visual, as you can see it on the picture, so it uses visual items that give you the more authentic and more honest responses. And then we do the cross-validation between the standard psychometry tests to give you a reliability score, so how much can you trust the results. And this is all our IP, so we are bringing the innovation to market with the visual tests. So how do you use Meinberg? It is very easy to set up the assessment part, so you can also integrate with your HRIS and ATS systems. You send the invitation, and as you can see on the previous slide, not very good picture here, but here is in Serbian, so we translated in all local languages for the CE region and also, of course, in English. So this is one of our clients. Here is his portal. You will take the visual and verbal test, so the core test. After that, you will take also the cognitive test. Then we have the skill test, so we have more than 200 role-specific skill tests in our database, and experience-based essay questions also from our database. So we do the complete data analysis, and you will present it with the in-depth insights. Here you can see the quick overview, so with a summary, then actionable insights, team roles, and in-depth profile. And now when we have that data, we can go a step further. So now we can go in the talent management part. So you have the actionable insights, and I said many times in the presentation actionable insights, but that means actually the AI insights. So we use the generative AI. We also use agentic AI to give you the right just-in-time insights for your peers. Then we have strategic growth planning, internal mobility, and succession planning. So this is already in beta, but it will be live on Q1 2026. Also insights and dashboards, so the KPIs, I don't have to, you know what it is. The burnout and prevention. So this is the other part that we are very proud of. So we have part of our core test is the work-life boundaries and burnout risk test. So we give you the baseline of the burnout of the person. And after that, we give them the actionable insights, so give them the long-term and short-term tools and frameworks how to manage it. Team development. So we take all the data from the personality test scores, and we combine it with the AI, the help of AI, and create the team map. So the team map will give you the strengths, weaknesses, and also gaps, skill gaps in the team, and combined with your strategy, we give you the clear next steps how to close those gaps. So we are already live, so we have one corporate client in Serbia, also 3 new ones in the 2020 in this year. But if you're interested, you can join our cohort for the next year. And this is our team. So Dr. Kojic, he's the doctor of psychotherapy. He's here. His idea was this visual test. And then with Dr. Živanović, who is the associate professor at Faculty of Philosophy, he conducted the whole research to validate our hypothesis about the visual test. I'm doing all the tech stuff and with my team. And thank you for your time. This is my short presentation.
Let's see if we have some questions for the Mindberg.
Yeah.
But we'll keep the question.
No, there is a question.
Oh, there is a question.
So do you adjust the psychological visuals that you're presenting based on the location of the company and like their...
Yes. Yeah. Can I take my...
You have the mic? Oh, yes.
No, I want you to go. Yes. So I didn't have much time to go into detail, but when you set up the assessment, so for each role, there is a different kind of assessment. So the core assessment, the one that is the visual one is for every role, but then the set of other tests that go in the battery are special for each role. And then we have the different in our system. So there's no AI in this part. That is very important to say, because then we can sell it in EU. So it's very deterministic, the part where we calculate all this data. So it's just a lot of science and hard work and a lot of code. But everything else is used with the help of AI. So if you have a special role that you want to fill in your company, so we go talk with you, then we make the calibrate the system just especially for you. That's how we did it with Silverbell, because they're a BPO company, so they have very special needs for the people that want to be there. And then we do the personalized part just for each client. It's already part of the backend. So basically, you can do it yourself in the self-help portal.
Do we have some other questions? Then let's invite Uroš Zorić from Privacy Champion on stage.
Hello, everybody. You can hear me in the back, yeah? So my name is Uroš. I'm here to present the Privacy Champion. I'm a co-founder of Privacy Champion, and I want to ask you a favor. So this week, you sit down for your early morning routine of going through the emails and drinking your cup of coffee, and you realize that there are some emails, probably a lot of emails from companies who you never heard of or you forgot you've heard of, about the products that you probably don't want. So you're probably not alone. There are millions and millions of people like you who basically have no idea how they signed up for some companies, some emails, some newsletters, and they have no idea how to get their data back. But there has been a renaissance in the recent years where people are starting to look for their data back. From 2022 to this year, there has been a growth of 60% of DSARs. Those are those requests to reclaim your data, to get your data back. And companies are facing on average 137 DSARs per month. This is costing on average around $3,500 each company, and that is about 30 minutes per request, which is a lot of time. The main bit here being that there is a 30-day deadline of responding to those requests, so there is always a fear of being fined, and obviously a reputational risk, which is maybe even higher risk than a financial one. So this is basically why we founded Privacy Champion, because we realized that there is a gap in the market where we can offer a product to save almost 90% of the time per our measurements with automated systems that will help you gather the data and all of those requests into one place and help the companies go and sift through that data efficiently and automatically, basically. This is why we founded Privacy Champion, and we have automated this because we come from the background of doing the tech, developing products, but we also come from the background of doing privacy and consulting with the companies. How it all works is there is a centralized intake, automated process of going through all of that data, and then compliance tracking, where all of the process is logged and ready to be basically audit logged and audited by the auditing bodies. This takes the effort from 30 minutes to 4 minutes. And this is how basically it looks in detail. All of those requests come into one standardized form. They are automatically sorted into the data types. Requests are fulfilled, and then user that requested the data gets the automatic response of, hey, your request has been fulfilled. This is your data for you to take back. Why Privacy Champion? Because obviously there are a lot of other players in this market. OneTrust is the biggest company, but the problem with current solutions on the market is that they are very, very big, they are not robust, and they are very, very expensive. To be using OneTrust even, you need to go through the multiple weeks of training, and not to speak about the price that is in thousands of dollars, if not even tens of thousands of dollars per year. So we're aiming the affordability. We are tailored to the SMEs, and we are tailored to be complete in the sense of we get you compliant with the GDPR and all of the other privacy laws. Obviously, focusing on the easy UX and being very driven by one person, because most often than not, one person is going to be focused on those privacy requests in your company. As I've said, our team has started as a consulting firm. Privacy Champion has been founded as a consulting firm where we took tens of clients and went through all of the data mapping and helped them overcome the issues of getting compliant with the GDPR and other privacy laws. And we figured out this is something that we can probably productize and create a product from it so that they can do it themselves using our product, and we don't waste time. We kind of give time back. So our pricing is very transparent, very simple. I'm not going to delve too deep into this, but what I want to delve a bit deeper into is that you can get included We are opening up for an early access program, so you can scan this and join up. We will be launching the early access probably early next year, so we're looking forward to people and companies that do face these challenges that I mentioned here. You can sign up and we can talk and see if we are fit. And basically what we offer is special pricing for our early birds, product feedback input so that we can shape the product to your specific needs, and obviously priority support because you're going to be one of our first customers. Thank you, and if you have any questions, I'm here.
Do we have some questions? Somebody? Nobody? Thank you very much. Let's now have Pavle Milosevic from Fragment joining us on stage.
Hello, my name is Pavle Milosevic. I'm coming from Fragment. Fragment is a physical product, something unusual in the startup industry. So we are basically based in eco-solution and sustainable products, and we want to say that sustainability never looks so good as with our products. So, pardon. Our basic idea was to make the influence on the nature using the recycled glass that mostly in Serbia ends up in the landfills, and use its value to give it a new life and create additional product that will having higher value than its comparison products. So by working with us, being an investor or partner of the Fragment, we can together make a huge influence on the nature and carbon footprint. On the other side, we found in Serbia disparity in the price of the glass on one side, and on the other side, the price of transportation. So the economical push was due to the throwing away and not going to the logical ways of treating the waste as the other countries do. So we found a lot of landfills, and we found our main raw material for our products for free. So our solution are panels made from recycled glass. They are containing 75% of the recycled material. Now TRL 7 new product is 85 to 90% of recycled content inside of it. It can be used for tabletops, countertops, decorative walls. It can be used for fountains, outside, inside, interior, exterior, like everything that you can see, the marble, granite and quartz, you can use this as a sustainable solution. We are at TRL 9 phase of the product, so we are selling our product since 2021 and developing through the sales of the product. Our innovative edge is in curing the alkyl silicate reaction. It's the glass and the cement are not compatible materials, so we managed to bond unbondable materials. So it's one of ours founders PhD from chemical science, doctor degree. It's his work. And we managed to stop the reaction and make the stable product. So product stay solid. This is like 4 years ago product made that are still like in the high quality of compressive and fluxural strength. On the other side, we take some and TAM markets as Serbia, where we tested the products because of potential low low returning rate, and it is easier to find the returnings of the products inside of the Serbia. We had one since 2020. Then Nordics, we start exporting Nordics in late 2024, and European Union, we are planning to enter the market in 2027 as the whole European Union. Our business model contains like business to business with the 3 selling towns like architects, furniture manufacturers, semi-product, and stone masons and panel dealers as the big panels 2.7 times 1.4 meters. So they can do fabrication of the product to the final customers. Our go-to-market strategy is right now in the phase of entering the Nordics in we entered Norway, now Sweden and Finland, and we are planning to move in 2027 to European market. In competitive landscape, the only thing that we are having as disadvantage is acids. It's a reaction on the material, so it reacts the same like on granite and marble, but the composite materials are having the higher quality in that field. On other fields, we are inside of or higher than industry average. These are our financials. Right now, we think that sales revenue will go through this one around 40,000 euros. We are expecting this is like a modest approximation of our revenue for the next 2 years. Our team is in the co-founders, Marija Markovic as an artist. This was her idea of making a fragment panel, and myself as an economist that went to the technology at the end. Plus we are having like 4 excellent technical advisors. There are professors at universities in the fields of technology, chemistry, and physics. We are looking for the business angel right now. We are planning to do the bootstrap. We are not eager to get an investment. We are having the revenue that can right now finance development of the company, sales and everything, but with the business angel who is having a connections in the stone industry or construction industry, we are planning to raise the money from the investor and just push the sales to go to the market, European market, much faster, and it will mostly be used for getting the money for fairs, salespeople, marketing, and one machine. These are ESG strategy and sustainable development goals that we hit with our products. And we are grateful to all of these organizations because the product by itself, the lower level of capital that needs to be required to make just one of these, like MVP, is super high. So by supporting us through the grants, through the accelerators, and all other benefits, we will manage with them to get to our products. Thank you so much for your attention. I will leave the product here so you can see it.
Thank you. Do we have some questions?
Where do you plan to source raw materials for sales?
I'm sorry, can you please?
Where do you plan to source raw material for sales?
To source the raw materials, the recycled glass.
Yeah.
So there's like a bunch of recycled glass, but there is a problem with ending the waste status. So that's the main problem. So you can find glass mostly everywhere, but the problem is how to end the waste glass status and use it as a raw material. So we worked in 2024 with the accelerator of United Nations Development Program, and they managed with their staff to change the law for fragment about ending the waste status of the glass. So basically you can find it anywhere. So it's not...
Where?
How do you mean where? I'll give you an approximation. There's like, what?
I need 10 tons of broken glass for this. Where do
10 tons. You can find in any city the production of the windows. They always have those cuts. For example, you have the big board, so they cut the board and they have the wrestles. So you use that wrestles and the waste status, mince it, sieve it, and get the granulation curve, so you will put it inside of your product. And I'll give you like Windows producers. They're having approximately like 2 to 3 million revenue, are generating around 100 tons of waste glass. And there, for example, in the city of Čačak, where we are located, there are like 5 or 6 of companies like that. So we basically can, just in the city of Čačak, and we are like super small city, we can find their needs completely. Plus Belgrade, like Serbia, and outside of Serbia, there's like a lot of places. Welcome. Someone else?
Any more questions? Then last but not least, I would like to invite Oscar Marco from Cropped to join us on the stage.
Sluša nešto?
Obrnuto.
Obrnuto, mora ovako. Sad se nešto samo crveni.
Izvolite.
Hvala. Da ubacimo ovde? Ok, hvala. Perfect. So hello everyone, my name is Oscar and I'm the co-founder of a company called Cropped from Novi Sad, Serbia. This is a little story about us, how we started off. We started as a research team from the Bioscience Institute, but we were very successful at some challenges around the world, the biggest of which was the Syngenta Crop Challenge, and in 2016 we came fourth. We were in the US. But MIT came fifth, which gave us a big boost in morale. And in 2017, we came first in front of the likes of Stanford, MIT, Fraunhofer, Beijing University, and others. That was followed by Gates Foundation grants. And then we realized that there is a huge potential in commercialization of this technology. So we founded a company in 2019, got a number of accelerated projects, and now we're on the market. So what is it that we do? Well, agriculture is very complex, so we need to increase production efficiency, we need to use the right seeds, fertilizers and pesticides, we need to secure access to finance, and we believe that all these processes can be optimized using data. And but to get to data, you need to use some AI, and that's exactly what we do. So we developed the Space Garden platform where we are displaying different sources of data. So we aim for this to be the single source of truth in agriculture. So what we do is, for example, that we use AI to predict the yield. So we're starting at the beginning of the season, we're predicting the yields, which is very similar to weather forecast, but we're updating it as new satellites come across, and we are updating these maps. So this year was a particularly dry one, and this is what it looks like. So it's everything is in red. But we also do reports across municipalities, cadastral municipalities, etc., depending on the user's needs. We produce crop maps as well, so we identify what was planted on every piece of land, also using satellites and using AI, so that we know exactly what was planted in every field, and we know what has been planted in the previous 10 years, so we have a lot of data about the farmers. We are also monitoring the productivity in different fields. So this is one map for the agricultural fields in Serbia. So we can identify the productivity level. So you can see blue is good, red is bad. You can see these guys that irrigate the fields are in blue, so which means that they have high productivity. And the small guys in red here are not very productive. So this is the kind of information that banks need. So right now, the NLB bank uses our system to process their loan requests and to either approve or not the loan. We're also collaborating with the likes of insurance companies like Generali Insurance to process the clients, to identify damages. And this is one damage from literally a hurricane that flew across Serbia 2 years ago. So you can see that we can spot the affected fields and say what the level and area of damages is. But we're not only limited to financial companies, we're also working with, for example, seed companies where Koteva and Syngenta are our clients. So we developed a separate AI model for each maize hybrid, each sunflower hybrid, so that now we can run these models and see what hybrids grow better and what grow worse at every individual location, so that we know, for example, that Koteva should sell the red hybrids in the north, the purple hybrids in the east, etc. So we can increase the yields and optimize the logistics and distribution. So how do we do that? So on one end, we've got soil data, weather data, elevation data, field data, so a lot of data. And on the other end, we've got AI algorithms, which we use to process all that. So I tend to say that AI is just statistics on steroids. So we've got a lot of input parameters, which we model then, and we model the yields and figure out what's happening. So on one end, we've got financial institutions where we are assessing their clients. And on the other end, we've got agribusinesses like distributors, seed companies, traders, etc., for which we provide market research and intelligence. We have a B2B business model, and it's basically software as a service, but in agriculture or agtech, where pricing depends on the level of services that we offer. So we have from something basic from a few thousand euros to a few tens of thousands euros if we are allowing the access through an API. And we've had a number of successful pilots on four continents in the world. So the US, Mexico, Uganda, Europe, Russia, and Ukraine. And we are operational right now in Serbia, and we're scaling up to the region, actually. So we have clients from the big agricultural multinational companies like BASF, Bayer, Kočeva, Syngenta, etc. We have the two biggest distributors in Serbia, which is Agromarket and Savakop. We've got ADM, which is the world's largest trader. We've successfully conducted a number of pilots, and we received support for more than 700,000 euros from the likes of NALED through StartTech, but also European accelerators and others. And now the amount of funding that we are receiving through European grants and projects equals the amount that we're receiving through the sales. So we're trying to get an investment to scale it up. Do I need to finish it off? Yes, sorry for that. So we've got a lovely team here. Sanya is the CEO. I'm the CTO. We've got an AI team, business team, advisory board as well. And thank you very much for being here. Yeah, sorry for breaking.
Thank you. So do we have some questions for Oscar?
Don't be shy.
Don't be shy. Yes or no?
From scaling up across Europe.
So what we need for scaling up, we first of all need local data. We need some local data because all the models that we have are globally scalable because we're using globally available data sources like satellites, like soil data, weather data, which are all globally available. So we need some local data about the yields, about the crops to calibrate the models. But we also need some partners to launch and to launch our service and to find the customers. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'll be around so you can grab me back.
Thank you. Before we go to the networking part, which is much excited from everyone, I just wanted to say that each startup will receive a prize from our partner Infobip Startup Tribe, Talk the Walk Award worth 5,000 euros in credits, which can be used for Infobip services. So after the event, please find somebody from the organizers who can give you more information about it. And now I would like to invite everyone for the networking. Please take a drink, a network. Feel free to reach to any of the startups, to Misha or somebody from NALED, from Innotechnics or CAP. We're much open. Thank you very much for joining us, and very looking much forward to seeing everyone again very soon. Thank you.